What's up, you guys? Welcome to episode 14, 20 to 40 podcast. Today, we're going to be actually talking about role models. And remember, on the 20 and 40 podcast, we're giving you nuggets that helped us go from 20, 30, 40, really that crucial time in your life where you're figuring it out, trying to get on the path and trying to get to success. So for me, my name is Aubrey. I'm a personal physical therapist, investor, trader, fitness and nutrition entrepreneur, and also a father. So love to hear from you guys. Let's next go to Stephen.
I'm Stephen, attorney, dad, husband, uh, previous military member, and just really love knowledge.
What's up, guys? You know me. I'm always hungover in the first episode, but I'm always ready for episode 2 when we're recording, right? My name's Sirod. I'm a real estate agent, retired police officer. I work HR. Woo!
So Rod needs to get warmed up, then he gets ready. If y'all checked out episode 13, he was like all pessimistic. All these cats is not worth my time. Now he's now he's ready to be a role model.
No, we got more of that coming. Let's get to the question.
All right, so today we're talking about role models, right? And the importance of role models in our life. So I'm gonna give you guys a few quick stats. Role models among young people are commonly parents. 67.4% are moms, 60.2%, 60.2% is fathers. And this is an interesting stat. YouTubers actually top the list as well at 52.6%. That's something I definitely don't want to have going on in my house. Siblings are up there at 38%, and teachers are up there at 36%. Adults who had successful role models during their youth were more likely to enjoy a fulfilling career, 68% versus 51% who didn't. Feel established when they had a role model, 64% versus 45% who didn't. And earn a comfortable living at 60% versus 39% earning over 60K. So let's get into a couple questions that I got for you guys. Is number one, who has been an influential role model in your life and why, and what did you get from them?
I would have to, it would have to be my mom, right? When, yeah, when I was a kid, I was always like really angry. I was just really angry as a kid. And, we would joke around a lot, but I would always just be I was easy trigger, right? And my mom has always just instilled in me that no matter what's going on in life, right? Like, just always show a little grace and a little empathy. And so when I was younger, I didn't really care about none of that, right? You ain't getting no grace, you ain't getting no empathy from me. And it wasn't until I got older and I started dealing with situations that were out of my control, right? And all I could realize is how I can deal with situations, right? Is then I would start giving people more grace and empathy for what they were going through. And I think now when I come into talking to people or interacting with people, I always take people as they are, right? Like everyone is in a different place, everyone has different things going on. And so I never really judge people. Like I try not to be judgmental. I think it's human nature to judge people before you actually get to meet them. But I really try not to do that. I really try to learn about people and take them as they are and understand that, not everyone has had it either. Some people's had it easier, some people's had it harder than me. But I think in showing a little humanity to people when they're going through things or you're dealing with people or you're dealing with stressful situations, my mom showing me that, like with her being in the Navy for that long, for some of what she's gone through after she got out of the military and family stuff and just life stuff that she's gone through. It's really shown me that even though my mom has gone through a lot of hard things, that having that positive attitude just out of life is always just a good way to be, because stuff gets bad, things are negative and bad things happen, and all we can really control, like we were talking about before about control, is how I respond to it. And my mom giving me that perspective of just meeting people where they are, not being judgmental, giving grace and showing empathy has really helped me just be more understanding as a human being amongst other human beings, but also, in my job now, right? Like in doing child support, like how does that then go into more effective communication for people that are dealing with not a fun time in their life and being able to communicate that, hey, I understand what you're saying. Or, it's sometimes that's all you just really have to do is just, I, I understand or I feel what you're saying. And even though it might not change what an answer is, sometimes people just like to be heard. And sometimes just feeling people feel like they're heard, it makes them not be as aggressive or puts them at peace. Like, okay, my feelings are legit. So I would say my mom, and for those reasons.
I'm gonna differentiate the difference between a role model and a mentor. Just correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say role model would be my mom. I think from day one that I can remember, like I've looked up to her, and then the more I knew, you know, black woman in the military, 30 years, the things she was doing when I would go visit her job, she'd be like, Pep, step out, and then start grilling on some like 22-year-old or something like damn, she's a beast. So the older I got, the more I even wanted to emulate the path that I saw her on. I would say my dad a little bit as well, but mostly my mom. But the reason I say role model and mentor is because I would say even though she tried to mentor me and give me advice, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't buy that, you should go there, you should do that. Like you said, Aubrey, but when we ended the last episode, I didn't really listen to her. It was almost like, don't tell me because you're my mom. I'm not really trusting what you say. So she was the role model, but she couldn't really be the mentor, I think, because she was my mom. The mentors that I had, at least the first ones that come to my mind, are the people who suspended me in 2012. One was a retired cop and military colonel, and then he was as a civilian police officer at our department. And another, he works uh, not border patrol, but one of those agencies. He's running one of those divisions right now in San Diego. So he started where I started, and now he's up there. So these are the people that mentor me. Where career wise, I've gone to them for advice, and they have helped me with my resume, with interviews. Like literally, when I asked them a simple question, I asked like 6 people when I was going up for the second in charge of the police department, and everybody was like, "Oh, do this, do that," or text me or email me back. This dude was like, "Come to my house. Here are the questions. Prepare, and we're going to do an interview in person." I was like, because he was basically doing what others had did for him. This was the first time that anybody had ever did that, let alone the guy who suspended me. But him and the retired colonel had told me in separate times, like, dog, we saw your potential a long time ago when you was, all clubbing and partying, and I'm just a cop during the day, but at night I'm crazy and attitude and talking back and not listening. They're like, we saw past all that, and we knew you could get where you got, which is running the department. We saw that in you. And I'm like, I mean, damn, so they said that's why we were hard on you and we put that paperwork in to suspend you, hoping you would see your potential too, because those are the two options when you get suspended. You either turn into more of a brat or you fix yourself, and I fixed myself. So there's other mentors that I've had, Cox, Westover, Fred Erickson, all these other guys in the police department, because that's really where my manhood, my skills, my relationship was built. These are the people I went and told, like, hey, man, I'm dating this girl, Kimberly. Can I get some advice? These were all the people, Bala, Campesano Schooner. But like, if anybody listens to it, I don't want to miss nobody, right? These guys were all my mentors. They were all older than me. They were all military people. And because they weren't my dad and mom, I could try kind of listen to them. When Spooner was like, yo, you're yelling at the sergeant. And I was like laughing because we were always joking and laughing. And he looked at me and was like, it's not cool. And I was like, I felt like shit because I'm like, yo, that's my homie. Even he's telling me I'm out of pocket. So these are the people who really made me sit back and think. And obviously that was 12 years ago. And I still remember when Spooner did that. It really shaped my life. They really cared and they saw the potential in me, but it took a lot of, slow poking. It didn't happen overnight. But the difference between role model and mentor, the police department guys are my mentors. My mom is my role model for life. Like I want to be like her.
Nice. Dope. Yeah, I think role models are really, really important. I've seen the difference of people who have them or positive ones and people who have, I would say negative ones or ones that don't serve them as much. Uh, and I think one of the biggest things that role models can do is kind of show you the long-term effects of your current activities, right? Because we can't see what our activities do today for tomorrow, week, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line, but we can kind of see through role models and mentors what those activities that we're doing today can add up to or compound into. And I think that's one of the biggest things that role models do for us, is show us where our actions are taking us. Because, I love what Eric Thomas said one time. He's a motivational speaker. He said, if you want to show me your future, all you got to do is show me your day. What are you doing today? What time are you waking up? What activities are you doing? How much discipline do you have? And then, because at the end of that day, all the results from that day aren't just going to show up in the next day. It's compounded over 6 months of doing that, 6 years of doing that, 16 years of doing that. And one of the big things that role models can do is show us how to tweak our day, like building a wall. Every brick we lay is our day, how we can build that wall or that mosaic. And one of the big things that they can do is they can show us how to add in discipline. So I want to ask the next one is, how have your role models affected your discipline in your own lives? And how has that helped you choose what's best over what we want? And can you share one of those times you took that trade-off and how it worked out for you?
You know, again, if it wasn't for my mom, I would have went to the military, right? She's the one that was like, you got to get up off your couch, right? And so, and that, I think that was the discipline I needed, right? Was joining the military, right? Fighting some solid guys like Pruitt, I had my man Yard Dog, Minky, like some guys that I met when I was in the military that really, I was still wild, but at least I was waking up every morning, right? I know what it was to do hard work every day, be a part of a team, rely on people while other people rely on me and do all these things, right? And then getting to be an attorney, right? Like, I think the hardest part about being an attorney is what it is to be an attorney. Like, what is the day-to-day grind? Everyone always thinks of it as what law school shows you and all this stuff, like these high-powered cases and stuff. Answering emails. How do you respond to the court? How do you just draft quick documents and stuff like that? And my first boss, Tina, she was awesome with that, right? She would really, I think when it came to it, like, she saw the potential and she just gave me everything she had, right? And she knew she was going to retire, and she was just like, this could be yours type thing, right? And it was like, could I have gone out and did a different job and maybe made more money? Yeah, I could have. I could have left and did that. Or do I put in the work, learn from one of the best? She did child support here for 30 plus years. So you're really learning from a person that knows all the ins and outs of all the laws that have changed over the last 30 years. And child support's a pretty new thing in North Dakota. So it taking that trade-off of, maybe having short-term, financial gain rather than long-term job security and a pension, right? Like, I could have jumped ship, but her giving me everything she had in her knowledge and abilities, because she was a phenomenal attorney and she just had a way of talking with people, not either orally or written communications. And I really try to be like her and emulate how she not only interacted with people, but how she communicated. And I think that was a very strong way to show me that you're right. The people that are really there to help you, their actions show where they're trying to push you to. And if you have someone that might not be as positive as a role model as you think they should be, then that might be that what they're pushing you to do might be time for you to look for someone else to push you in the direction you want to go. And understanding that you can change and find new mentors, right? Like, and once she retired, I had to find a new mentor. She wasn't working here anymore. And I found my boss after her. And finding a good mentor will help you achieve more success, but finding a bad mentor will set you up for a bigger failure. Because if you never know the right way of doing things or the right way to do what it is that they're supposed to be mentoring you to, how will you ever know that you're in the wrong? And how will you ever know when you're doing it right? So if you can make and spot a good mentor, that saves you so much time and stress down the road, because then you could find someone and be like, oh, they're trying to tell me this, and this doesn't add up because I know what they're supposed to be doing. And then you could just find someone else, because everyone says they want to help you until you see what kind of help they give you.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a weird position right now because I don't really have a mentor. I don't really want one. I mean, for the most part, like I said, my job is pretty simple compared to, again, I always say running a police department. There were so many ins and outs of that. Again, my phone was on ringing all hours of the night, all day, every day. I'd be in at 2 a.m., staying till 7 p.m., depending on what crime happened that day, and making sure everything was done correctly. We get inspected, so I'm required to make sure that not only do we get it right today, but that we have everything we need. So when we get inspected in a year, we have everything. So compared to what I did before and what I do now, and again, shockingly making more money, I don't really. There's a few people that kind of imply they would like to be, somebody to kind of guide you, but I'm kind of like, I'm good for now. Like career wise, I kind of know the path I want to take. Not that people are bad, but there are those people who are like, they're giving you like not bullshit, but like just kind of like blanket shit. And I'm like, dog, I'm 40. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna be a mentor, you better come with it. You better have some real valuable information that I believe is gonna be able to help me, And if you're just telling me this like blanket shit that I can find on Google, about my career or something like that, then it's not really helpful. So discipline wise, I would say, or actually, can you repeat that question? Because you asked two questions and I lost the you said
So,
you said how has discipline played a role in
yeah, how
what?
did a role model help you build the discipline to do things that you didn't want to do? And what did one of those things how did it make you do that trade-off and what did it get you?
Okay, I can combine it. Yeah, it's less fun. So basically, when all these cats was coming, I told you when I did that shit to the sergeant, when he was like, he had a country accent, he was like, "You need to fix your belt," and I'm like, "Shut the fuck up," right? Like I'm like fucking with him, like he's not even in charge. And then I'm thinking me and Spooner are gonna laugh about it because he was right there, and he looked and was like, "That ain't it, bro. That ain't it." And I right on the spot, I called the sergeant back. And I said, "Hey, I apologize for basically being an asshole. I'll listen to what you say. My bad." It took Spooner kind of like again checking me right there. But so it wasn't as fun. Like I got videos. Like we used to basically if we saw it was like somebody comes up, say, "Hey, we're here to see a friend," whatever, they're not military, so they don't really know how shit works. So they would tap me and be like, "Hey, they're looking for directions to a friend's house." That was like acute to me. So I'd be like, "Oh, welcome to the military base. We would love to show you our home," right? And I'm just fucking around all the time. You can't do that shit and run the police department. You have to set the example. So I ain't gonna lie, writing people up, suspending people, firing people, basically enforcing the rules. Everybody put your fucking mask on. Like that's the shit I was doing all day. I was no fun, but I felt a responsibility and I felt not empowered, but I felt like I was a person again that people could come to and go like, I know you're not as fun to be around, but you are the boss and you make more money and you make decisions and you make your own schedule. And there are advantages that I was able to get, but that was a trade off. Like I had to lock in. They start talking about ass and titties. I got to walk out the room. I want to talk about ass and titties, but I can't be in there doing that now. So that's a weird trade off, but fun, man. Like hanging with the boys. These cats start, joking around too much. I would just look at them like, shit, man, I got to get out because, I am HR. I am the boss. So there was a trade off, but again, career wise, life wise, I like who I became, and I made sure people understood. Like even though I can't be in here joking too crazy, I still got y'all back. You can always come to my office and ask for help. And most of those people, again, were still at my wedding when I was the boss. They were still inviting me to have drinks at their house later, which I was shocked because I'm like having a beer with them. I'm like, oh shit, okay, they don't hate me. It's just when we at work, I gotta separate the two. So it's a give and take. But if you want to progress in your career and do something worthwhile, worth meaning, to tell people I ran a police department is fucking amazing. So I'll trade that off for some dick jokes anytime.
As the titty jokes gotta walk outside. That was definitely a liner we need to put into a clip. Side note. And side note, I'm mad that I didn't get invited to the wedding too. That's another side note. We'll get to that in another episode. But I think one of the biggest things is it does help you show the discipline from your role models because I think what also starts to happen, because my mom was one of my big my mom and my dad for different reasons, but as I learned more of my mom's story of where she came from to where she made it to, and then kind of seeing how how big of a mountain that was, I started to see more and more how much the discipline pays off. I think when you're a kid, well, I'll just speak for me. When I was a kid, there was just food in the fridge all the time. There was a roof over our head. If I wanted, a PlayStation, mom or dad hooked me up, thank God. And then as I got older, I started to see, wow, like this electric bill ain't free. this chicken and this steak and this carrots and this rice ain't free. This gas definitely ain't free. And I started to see, oh, that's why mom wasn't here. You know, when I was sick and stayed on the couch, mom can say, hey, I'll come and check on you at lunch, but I got to go. And I started to see the work ethic that it took daily to get to where we had been. And I kind of, as a kid, took that for granted. And I saw, oh, this is what the discipline has created. So just kind of seeing that kind of showed me instead of told me, you know, mom never sat me down and was like, yo, this is what you need to do. It's kind of like she just showed me by what she did. And I think that was one of the most powerful things. So shout out to Mom Dukes. And I think that's one of the biggest things. But on the flip side of that, I think one of the things I learned as I grew is that there's also, I don't know if you call them negative role models, but people to see what not to do, you know, what doesn't work. Like, oh, damn, this is where they ended up. Is there been any of those people in your life that you kind of like, oh, damn, I don't want to do that because I see what they're doing and how that's helped you on your journey?
You know, I feel like when you're in it, you don't, right? It's always like hindsight's 2020. So you're looking at situations or things that's happened in life that made you realize, like, when you were in it, man, you really thought this person had your back, but then you look back at it and it was just sometimes a lot of people like to ride your wave and your energy because they know you're going somewhere. And I think we've all had those people throughout our lives that would just like to ride the wave. They know you gonna go and do something. They might not be there with you, but they enjoy what your energy brings to them, right? Like when we, you know, I always think back when we were younger and we go out and everyone would be like, yo, Steve, you coming out? Not, maybe they didn't want me to, maybe they wanted me to come out because they were just like, oh, I want to hang out with Steven. Or maybe they wanted me to come out because they know Steven was going to do something crazy. And then that's the energy that he was going to bring. And I'm down to see Steven do something crazy and wild, right? Like that was just it. But then I look back at my life sometimes, and I'm like, man, all those people that might have been trying to get me to like come out and hang out and do all this, they weren't doing that for my benefit. If I would have got locked up, or if I'd have went to jail or got detained or whatever, they gonna be there? Probably not. Show's over now, so we out, right? And I think people have to guard their energy, and that's why I think keeping a nice tight circle is probably the better way to go instead of being the life of the party, right? Like I think when I was younger, I was like, man, I was cool because look how many people I can hit up all these people. Is there a party here? Is there a party there? We're going here. We're going there. What we doing? What we on? Like, let's do it. Like, I know all these people, so you know I'm good. You know what I mean? Instead of now when I'm older and I'm like, yo, if something went bad, do I got someone I could pick up at 3 o'clock in the morning and be like, yo, no questions asked. Can you just do this for me? And I got you back, right? Like, I got locked up. I need the bail money, right? Like, who do you have in your corner? And there's some people that are gonna be negative, and they're gonna ride that wave with you, and you're not gonna know it until it's too late that they just taken a lot of energy and not giving back. So, one thing that I really did to keep negative people out is always constantly looking at my circle and saying, okay, as much as I love this person and they rocking with me and I'm doing all this for what's the benefit of this relationship, right? And I'm not saying that you just need a relationship with people that, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. No, if we're friends and we true friends, like I'm rocking with you regardless. So if I'm doing something for you, I know you got me, but there's going to be a lot of people you meet in life that they're just going to want, and they ain't going to give you nothing back in return, but more stress and heartache. And the sooner you can filter those people out, because they're all around. They're all around. There's a ton of people that just, scamming is at an all-time high right now. So if you think that people aren't trying to see where you at, just so not saying they're all trying to scam you, but that they're not going to see some benefit in just having that relationship with you without giving you anything in return to help you grow, right? Like we all homies because I know at the end of the day, if I do for you, you're going to do for me. And I don't have to question that. I don't got to think about that. But if you do, then that might be a person that is a negative thing. And be okay with letting people go. We have not been this successful by not letting people go. When those people show you who they are, believe them. It's okay. I know Pep's gonna roll his eyes, but Nipsey said, circle got smaller. Not everyone could go. That's a true fact. You can't keep having the homies there from what 2003, 2005. You're gonna have some of the solid ones still there, but if you got everybody from the homies from '05 to right now, I guarantee you're in the same situation. Because when you elevate, the same people that are on your wavelength are gonna elevate with you.
Niggas can't have friends for 20 years. Damn, cuz.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
If you hanging out with them dudes from '05, you broke, nigga.
I'm
You
not.
a bitch.
I'm not.
What?
I'm not saying that, but
That was
I'm
a blanket
you doing
statement.
the same thing. If you doing the same thing from '05 in 2025, there's no growth. And usually it takes growth to expand. That's just what I'm saying. And some people don't want to see you grow because they know when you grow, you're going to leave and you're going to expand past what they can then attain. And you always have to keep that in mind for yourself, that while you're growing and you might be positive and you might be doing everything, not everyone is in it for the same reasons you're doing it. And you have to constantly keep reevaluating just life and who's in it and what benefit they have. Because if the person doesn't have benefit to you, what's the point of wasting that energy? That's what I always tell myself. Like, I need a benefit for you to be around me. And that benefit could be as small as you make me, I have a good time and we're happy and I can talk to you about some stuff. That it could be as simple as that. But if you don't have no reason or benefit for a person that you keep giving all this energy to, then maybe you should reprioritize your energy.
I think this is also maybe a dude thing because my homegirls, Danielle and Renee and Jasmine and all of them, they've all been friends since they were like 16, and they've all continued to kind of move up that ladder. Same thing with Kim and her two best friends. They're 16 now, they're 34. So I mean, they're talking 20 years. They all been rocking, kicking, and they're all again slowly moving up. I think with us guys, I think it's a little different. You do really have to kind of move off of certain people to kind of push up. Crab in a bucket with the fellas, man. We're always like, oh man, he got a new job, and then all of a sudden they're clowning you for it or something. Or like you're too busy to go out and you're getting clowned for it, and your vibe just changes, and all of a sudden the group dynamic changes. You don't want to hang out with them. I was gonna go back to the parents because that's what I was saying. That's part of why they're my role model because Seven, our kids, they'll never have these issues that they had. But like, I think by definition, our parents grew up ghetto. Like I said, I went to my dad's old neighborhood. It was considered the projects. My mom, same thing. So for them to join the military and not just do 4 years, get out and rock with whatever, they stayed in, continued, getting yelled at. You have to shoot, you have to work out, you have to swim, all that stuff you have to do. You have to take care of the corporals, then you have to take care of all the people. And then when they made it to where they made it, they're in charge of 100+ people, and then they got to come home and deal with us. And it's funny because, like you said, yeah, we didn't think about the electricity bill, all the stuff we pay for now. Like I told Kim, I was like, man, why the water bill going up? Well, because we were potty training, and Seven was, no more diapers, so we were cleaning more blankets. It's just even that $20 difference. I'm like, hey, why the water bill higher? We turn into those people now. And it's only then do I realize, damn, I never had to worry about. I just washed my clothes, put them in the dryer, and left. I didn't care if the bill was up, down, low, or whatever. And so I just didn't want to point that out. Like that is why they're my role models too, because they literally made it from the slums to homeowners, in California and Florida. So it's not like they're like in Oklahoma or some rinky dink city. They're in major cities living it up, and both in retirement. The friends aspect, I personally never gave too much energy to shitty people. I mean, I as you were talking, Stephen, I was trying to think. I get on my I get on other people for that because I see them surround themselves and really cling to shitty people. Like people that you're like, that's a shitty person. This person is not amounting to anything. They smoke all day, drink all night, and sleep. They have no aspirations in life. And this is your best friend, or this is your friend. Or when I say, hey, yeah, bring so and so over to you can come to my house, you can bring somebody with you, and then they bring this person. I'm like, you really rock with this person like that? Like that's insane. I've never cling to anybody, if not for a little bit, because I did think of some people that were like, I could tell they weren't necessarily people I would like introduce to my parents, but they were also the people that were having a good time in this time of my life that were like, yo, we got 6 bottles. 6 bitches, and let's do it. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm rolling with this cat, but I'm not really like, again, I'm not like, hey, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Or what? It was like, these are just you party with these. What I say? That's what the plan was.
That was that time in life. I get it.
That's what it was. Like that's what me and that friend had in common. So I didn't. I would say for our friend group, before we started this podcast, I would tell people I don't have any friends. But what I meant by that was all the friends and the close relationships that I had have spread out so far that if I'm only talking to cats once every year or sometimes once every 2 years, whether it be Joe Sly or Brandon Chavez or whoever, in different times, Stephen, some of these people, and I think, Aubrey, obviously, Sean, but I'm not hanging out with these people. I'm not talking to these people. So when my son does learn how to get potty trained and I got the video and the picture, where's it going? To moms. That's it. And that's kind of how I see it. Like when I think of friends, I think like everything that happened to us, like, yo, this happened. Not only did we have the group chat, but we were doing different things. My life has changed where it wasn't because they were bad people, but our personalities, our dynamics, our just a lot of stuff changed for us. Mostly location. I mean, that's a huge part of it too. But even the friends that are 20 minutes away, 30 minutes away, that I was like hanging out with every day, just not really there. So I forgot the fucking question, but I was piggybacking off a lot what Stephen was saying.
Yeah, I think one of the things, whether you see where people are going in your circle or a role model, I think one of the things I started to see is the long-term effect. And I'll talk about it because I think males do have a little bit different of a perspective with it. Like I started to see, for example, as a young male, looking up to the guy that was kind of like the woman's man, right? At the club, he knew all the ladies tended to like him. He always had a bunch of people to hang out with. And then as you start to get later in life, you start to see this dude is older, alone, still wanting the club and chase women, uh, doesn't seem that happy. And I think that's when I started to learn the difference between happiness and like satisfaction or pleasure. Because, it's fun going to hang out and party and, hang out with new people all the time, but that's not as deep of a happiness or fulfillment as, being with somebody you really want to spend time with, building something you want to build like a family. And I started to see the long-term effects of these things because there was a time as, a young man for me, like life was about the hanging out, the partying, the chasing girls. And that was everything that life was about. And then I started to see the men that made that everything that life was about for the long run turn out to not have such a great life. Either they spent so much time chasing that they never found somebody to build a good relationship in life with and they were alone. They spent so much of their money either pursuing that lifestyle or didn't make enough money because they never had enough time to work or they spent it all. So they were older and broke. And I was like, damn, I'm starting to see people that if I do this in the short term, it's kind of like eating a Snickers bar. In the short term, it tastes fire. No, the Snickers bar commercials, get your nougat, get your caramel. When you're hungry, you're a different person. The Snickers bar in the short term tastes crazy good. But in the long term, you fat, unhealthy, unattractive, unhappy. And they don't ever show that part in the commercial because that's the long-term effects of Snicker bar every day, Snicker bar every day, Snicker bar every day. And I started to see, damn, this person has been having a Snicker bar every day, whatever that was in their lifestyle. And I was like, do I really want to trade this short-term pleasure for that long-term prison? And that's when I started having to think different. And I was like, I don't want to be in that prison because there's been time in my life where it's like I felt stuck, you know, whether it was like I didn't like how things were or I didn't feel happy in my everyday life. And I was like, it felt like a prison. It could be called depression. It could be called sad. It could be called stuck, whatever it is. Everybody's going to experience those things where you don't like the situation you're in. And I remember not wanting that to be my future and not wanting that to be for my forever. And I started thinking, okay, if I don't want this to be my forever, I've got to start moving different in my today because my today is going to create that tomorrow. And I started saying, okay, you can have two kinds of role models, Aubrey. You can have the role model where you want what they've created, but you can also have the role model where you don't want what they've created. And you can learn from both of them. It's like learning from both sides of the sword that cuts and the sword that creates, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things in life is to start paying attention to people that are living the life you want and start paying attention. Jim Rohn said this one time, and I thought this was smart. He said, we never go ask the people that failed to do a seminar, and we should, right? That person on the corner asking for food and pennies. We should have a seminar by that person. What did they do? Did they drink too much? Did they skip too much school? Did they sit on the couch too much? Did they eat bad? Did they not listen to their parents? Did they not wake up early? Okay, this is a seminar because sometimes we learn what to do. I remember my stepdad took me to Baltimore, where he's from, and he said kind of where The Wire was recorded. If you guys have watched The Wire, and it was the project's really rough. And he said, this is where people end up that don't take care of business. And that always stuck with me because as a kid, if you're in a house that has electricity, like we talked about, bills paid and everything, you can't understand that there's people that end up in places worse than that because you think, or I thought this was how things are for everybody forever. And it's not the case. And I think that's one of the biggest things about role models is you can take advantage of both. And if you don't think it, you do have role models. You're paying attention to rappers, YouTubers, influencers, athletes. So we all have role models. You just may not know it. So this is the last thing we're going to end out with. In a survey on qualities people most value in a role model, 100% honesty said honesty was important. 98% said very important. 93% said integrity and ethics. 84% said strong moral character. 73% said intelligence. So let's finish out with, what are some of the things that you look for in a role model or you think are important in a role model or you seek to be as your role model for others and yourself that you're trying to build?
Obviously honesty, right? I think honesty is probably the biggest part because you want to be sure that whatever the person's telling you is the truth, right? Like whether it's good or bad. Like if someone's going to tell me about a job, I just tell me what the job is about, good or bad. Let me be honest about it. Don't just try to sugarcoat things. As an attorney, we have an ethical obligation, right? We're one of the few professions that, not only do you have to pass the bar exam to get licensed, you also have to pass an ethics exam to even be able to practice, because you have to pass both. And so I feel like when it comes to ethical, you want to make sure the person the person you're dealing with isn't a snake, right? Like no one wants to open the gates to that. But I think when it comes to morality, you want people to be moral, but you don't want perfection. And when I say you don't want perfection, it doesn't mean I'm saying I'll just take whoever, but don't let the strive to find a perfect person let you miss out on some really good people. Because no one's perfect, right? Like no one's perfect. We're all humans. We're all man, right? Like mankind. I don't man and woman, but we're all. No one's perfect, and it's okay that a person that's not perfect can still teach you how to get to and do things that you want to get to. And so just because a person does some bad things or does something that you might not agree with, that shouldn't be what all that person is remembered for either, right? Like I think sometimes in society there's some really solid people in the world and they do really, really good and important things, and then they make a mistake. And then that mistake then overshadows everything that they did because people didn't agree with it. Now, not to say that certain things shouldn't warrant that, but at the same time, a mistake that someone shows repentance by not doing it or showing that they're remorse for it, that's just part of those people's stories. And I think, one thing that I always look for, maybe it's a quality or not, but someone that's did it, right? Like I'm not looking for a mentor to tell me how they think it should be. I want a mentor to say, hey, I've done this. This is my steps to it. And that doesn't mean you have to do it that way. But a person that's gone through it and done it a certain way, at least that way works. There might be multiple ways to do it, but that way worked for them. And be able to take things from people, right? Not every mentor is like, hey, man, this is the guy that has my number and I'm doing this. But maybe there's a person in your life that you see like, hey, I really like the way that they parent or really like the way that they are with their family. I want to take that part of that person and what they do. And and it's okay to take little bits of people, because some people are really great in other things. And again, not everyone's perfect, so they might lapse in others. Take what you need from what you see and what you strive to be from people. And I think it's a great thing to know what you don't want to be, right? Like that is, that's that, looking for someone that, in a humble person. That's one thing I love about a great mentor, is someone that is humble, right? No one that thinks they know everything, a person that not only tells you about their successes, but their failures, people that aren't afraid to let you know how hard it was for them, or people that are real, like, understanding of what it takes to be that, a person that is very humble. And I try to be humble. Sometimes it's harder than others, because I everyone loves the stunt, and I'm 40. I grew up in 2000s. Like, that's, stunting was where it was at, right? Like, we grew up with hip hop and all that. Everybody was stunting on something, but at the same time, you can stunt but also be like, hey man, like, I might have it, but you could get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, those people that are so humble to the fact that they know that they might be balling or doing, but they want to give back for others. I love those type of people. Those are the people I like to keep around. That's the person I strive to be, because whatever those qualities are that you look for in a mentor, or means those are qualities that you want to exude to other people. So try to find those people that you want to be like and emulate them, but also know you're your own person, and that you can do it different ways. And that's one thing I've always started to realize the older I get, is there's no one right way to success. And you have to be able to bring people in that can really maybe give you different perspectives, like this podcast, give you different perspectives on how different people can do different things while all still being true that they're all successful.
Steven be going, I'll be forgetting the fucking question. And then I just start piggybacking, like, because I don't know how he ends if that was the question. And then I just start talking about what he finished talking about. So I'll just do that now. It doesn't really matter. But ultimately, for a 22-year-old, I maybe agree with what Steven said. But ultimately, like, after like 27, I don't care. I don't need my mentor. A role model is different, because this is somebody that you are emulating, that you want to be like. And that's why I wanted to differentiate those in the beginning. So if they're a piece of shit, obviously I don't want to be a piece of shit. But when I think about mentors, I think about nuggets, man. Like, because I've never had a long-term one. And even if I didn't, I don't need you to be humble. I don't need you to be honest. Man, just tell me what you know. And I've always felt like I've been in a position to understand that this is good advice or this is bad advice. And obviously, if they keep giving you bad advice, you're not even a mentor anymore. But if they're giving you good advice and it's working, I don't give a fuck if you're cheating on your wife. I don't care if you're stealing money. I don't care if you're cheating on your taxes. I don't care about any of that stuff. Because all I'm worried about as a mentor is how you're making my life better. What you do with all that other stuff is kind of irrelevant to me. I don't need you to be an honest John to tell me, hey, so when they ask questions, what you want to do is do this on your interview. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if you go run over a baby after that. Like, what's that got to do with me? So that's what I'm saying. Like, the other example I came up was like, it was like the fraternity concept. Like, I'm respectful of it. But when I first heard the concept, I was like, wait, this shit ain't free? Like, I got to pay to like be around these people? Like, that's just, I don't really subscribe to that kind of, that kind of idea. So ultimately, yeah, the numbers that you talked about, Aubrey, they don't really bother me too much. I swear I'm not trying to be a character where I'm always saying I don't care and it doesn't bother me. But I really have the world has put me in a box where I just cannot allow myself to worry about those things too much. I worry about the goal, the picture, and how to get there for me. And then when I get there, I'm hoping to do things like this podcast where I can give back. But part of what I want to give back is, don't stress and worry about too much stuff all the damn time, because it's just not healthy. And like we talked about in the last one, you can't control most of it anyways. If you want to care about it and worry about it, try to keep it at a healthy balance where, again, you don't have to just turn off the TV, but don't watch it all day where you're just crying watching, bad stuff or annoying stuff. So I wouldn't care if my mentor was a bad person. Outside of how they're helping me is what I would focus on. And I think you kind of alluded to that a little bit, Stephen, but not as much as I wanted to express. Like, it wouldn't bother me one bit. I wouldn't care.
Yeah, in closing, I think one of the biggest things is, understanding how much mentors and role models can help you is like you don't have enough time on this planet to learn everything by experience. You can make your travel faster by taking other people's experiences and succeed even faster. So I think that's one of the biggest things is first, be open to getting mentorship, be open to having role models. And then once you're like, okay, there are things, I heard this saying and it made a lot of sense. It said, the world is smarter than you. And I think that's one thing that if you can humble yourself to be open to that, to be, okay, I'm not the smartest person in the world. There are things out there I don't know. Because if we're just so closed off to think I know everything and I'm the best, then nothing can get through anyway. And you just keep bumping around because your best life doesn't have to happen. You can get to the end of your life and not be happy and not be successful and not be fulfilled. So once you come to that kind of opening, be like, okay, the world is smarter than me. Now, how can I go get it? Right? Make it like a game. How can I get these nuggets? How can I put them in? And I think what a mentor can be is who is going to give you and your personality, your style, the best value to get you into action, take that action into results, and then make sure those results are what you could be. And if they're not as good as it could be, continue to tweak, right? This could be a mentor online, books, family members, friends. I think every mentor can be different. Some people like flashy mentors. Some people like deep thinking mentors. Some people like humble mentors. Some people like older mentors with a lot of wisdom and experience. Some people like young mentors because they show them that they can do it at their age similar to them. Everybody's different. And I think one of the biggest things is, taking that motivation. Sometimes you might see flashy people online or people making money or people doing this or that. And you can get mad and say it's all social media or they got lucky or it's fake. But none of that really benefits you because all that does is close you off. So if you can start to take these things in and match it to your kind of motivation style, okay, maybe it is fake, but what if it was real? Maybe they did get lucky, but what if I worked hard too? Maybe they are really flashy, but how can you take this? One thing Michael Jordan used to do is he used to take little slights that people did and turn it into motivation on the court. That person said this. That person followed me like this. That person guarded me or didn't guard me the right way. And he would take that into juice. How can you take these mentors and these role models into your personal juice and juice you up? Because every day you're not going to feel like it. Every day you're not going to be motivated. Every day you're not going to be excited. But if you can take these things and put it into your power bank and put it into your toolbox, all at the end of the day is going to benefit is you. So I think that's one of the biggest things as we end out on this episode of role models and mentors. Thanks so much, you guys, for being with us on the 2040 podcast. Remember, share this. Give this value to somebody, right? Don't believe like Sirod said that it don't matter. They will like it and they will enjoy it. And maybe if not, they'll just laugh at my boy talking about babes and bottles. It was a good one, y'all. 20 to 40 podcast. Let's get it, y'all. Thanks for sharing.